Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do a book tag today. I'm going to do the nonfiction on Booktube Tag. This was created by Olive over at a Book Olive, and I meant to do this as soon as she put it out. It's just I've been so busy with work that it just didn't happen. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and do it. We're halfway through Nonfiction November. I'm still in time, right? Anyway, so I'll have all the questions below as well as her video. So question number one is, how much nonfiction do you read? On average, I read about a title or two a month is kind of my average. But I would say if you count all the books, right now, I'm at well, before November, I was about 16% of my reading was nonfiction. And again, that comes out to about 1 or 2 titles a month. So with nonfiction, when I'm reading Nonfiction November, when I'm reading much more nonfiction, that number will come up. Last year, I got over 30% in nonfiction, which was awesome. And so I'm hoping to get close to 30% again. And I'd like to keep it at least that, if not more. I do love nonfiction. I just need to focus more on it, and I think next year I'm hoping to do something to make sure I do that. And but again, I love fiction too, so you have to have that balance. I'm definitely much more of a fiction reader, but I do love nonfiction, especially audiobooks. So anyway, I'm hoping to get close to 30% this year as I did the last year, and I think the year before that I was at like 25. So it's steadily increasing as I grow my nonfiction collection. Question number 2 is, what kind of nonfiction videos do you make, or do you want to make on Booktube? I would love to make some videos on nonfiction. I just hadn't thought about it, I guess. Is only recently that I kind of got some suggestions from some of my subscribers to maybe do some more videos on certain topics, like certain kind of fiction, but maybe I should do that in nonfiction as well, because there are certain ones that I have read that I don't own, but I've read a lot of nonfiction over the years because I didn't collect it for many years. It just didn't happen, or my dad has it and I borrowed it from him, so I could go raid his house anyway. And that could be a video as I go to my dad's library and go through his stuff, because there's so much stuff I want to borrow from him, but I can only borrow a few titles at a time because I'm trying to get through my stuff and, you know, all that stuff. But I think it'd be kind of neat to put at least some videos together for nonfiction that are like specific to certain parts of nonfiction that I read a lot of, or read more of than I read of other ones. So I just think that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe I did a nonfiction possibilities video this year, which I got a lot of feedback and a lot of views on. That it was really fun to go through what I owned, what I might pick up for what prompts there were, and other things that are on my shelf. So I would like to do more nonfiction stuff. As I said, it's one of those things where I'm trying to get more back into nonfiction reading, as I used to read a lot more when I was younger, and it just kind of fell away for a little bit, but now I'm steadily making that number higher. So I should make videos on it too. Question number 3 is, what's your favorite subgenre of nonfiction? I would say history. So, and this, I mean any kind of history. Mostly I'm looking at is biographies on people or events or an object. So I really enjoy biographies. I mean, like I read Washington Alive by Ron Chernow earlier this year, because I'm going to try to do my presidential challenge, which is, as I said, I've only done the one. But again, I liked seeing it it was Washington, from his birth to his death kind of thing. And but you get all the history of that time period and what he went through and things. So I liked that kind of thing. I also like true crime. I like history as in, like military events. Like, you know, I read a lot of stuff on the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, other things, you know, and it'll take, you know, certain battles that it'll focus on. I'll even read, you know, general ones, but I meant the ones I like the most. Or like there was I can't remember the author, but you know, like it was one of the ones about John Wilkes Booth and Lincoln, but you know, it was it was more his journey, his days on the run, and I cannot remember now. Like that's gonna drive me crazy, but it's one of those books I don't own. But it was a really good book because it was talking about just those days and everything that we do know about it before his death. Anyway, so it was one of those things where I like events and I like history. I want to learn something about something that really happened, I guess, is that it. And then again, there's also like objects like, I don't know. I've been trying to get more into that where you pick a subject and you just learn more about it. And I know I have one like Salt, which is the one I want to read. And I know there's one like the Silk Roads. I think maybe I have that on audio. But it's like they're like subjects and then you get to learn all about it. But it's history of that subject. That makes sense? Anyway, those are the ones I like the most. I'm more attracted to that. Question number 4 is, do you have a favorite nonfiction book? So this was really hard. I mean, again, there's a lot of nonfiction books that I've read, but there's only a few that I've reread. And this is the one I've read the most, Helter Skelter, The True Story of the Manson Murders by Vincent Bellagiosi and Kurt Gentry. So I've read this at least 3 times. I might have read it 4. I just recently read it this year for the 50th year anniversary of when it happened. But the book was one of the first, well, it wasn't my first true crime book. I've read quite a few of Anna Rule's before I read this one. But this one has always captured my imagination of all the intricate details that the prosecutor Bellagiosi describes in here. And this was one of my favorites. And I just reread it, still loved it. It's still really well written. And it's just crazier than fiction, pretty much. So it's still my favorite, and I said of all my nonfiction, it's the one I've read the most, or reread. So I think that shows that it's definitely in my top 10 books of all time. Number 5, what do you think keeps people from wanting to read more nonfiction? Again, a lot of people have said this, and I'm just going to probably reiterate it, is that a lot of people think of it as studying, or they think it's going to be dry or boring. I just think people should give it more of a chance. So, as I said, I've gone through phases where I didn't read a whole lot of nonfiction, but I think it was mostly because I wasn't finding something that was a subject that I was interested in. And as soon as I found something that was a subject I wanted to learn more about, then I enjoyed it. And I think if people look at it more for, hey, I want to know more about this might be the way to go. Now, a lot of nonfiction I listen to on audio. I like it to consume it that way much better for myself personally, because again, a lot of times I like to read fiction when I'm out and about because I can stop and start. It's not so hard. I don't know how to say that, but nonfiction I like to listen in my car a lot. It kind of goes along with the action. I'm driving my car and I want to learn something, I guess. I don't know. But I think a lot of people just have the misconception that nonfiction is boring. And it's not. There's so much to learn still. And there's so many things that are so niche that I've never thought about until I found a book that was kind of talked about it. And it was just so interesting. So I think people should just try to, take a little dip into like something that you're interested in and find a book and try that. And it doesn't have to be a huge honkin', biography, but it could be something smaller and just take baby steps. But I still think nonfiction is such an excellent resource for everybody to just continue to learn things. And it's just so much fun. I just love it. So, question number 6 is, why do you like nonfiction? Well, that was kind of to go into it, it really is for me, is learning, to learn new things and to be exposed to different ideas and concepts that I didn't think about or hadn't come up with myself. So I like to learn history. That's why it's one of my favorites, is you get to learn the details of something that happened hundreds of years ago that, yeah, you might have seen like reenactments on movies and things, but it's not the same as reading the book and getting the play-by-play. I mean, some of my favorite history books from the Civil War, like the days, like with Gettysburg, and like getting like everything that happened on every day and how things went wrong by just one little decision or went right. So to me, I love the learning aspect of nonfiction, and it's just, there's so many like different things to learn, so many different subjects. I mean, again, I have a lot of history on my shelves, but I also have like some obscure history and some, there are some people's like some life stories that I, have read that, or liked it, or even books that are like on writing, like as in to, be creative and to move forward. And again, they're like, can be niche, but as I said, I I like all the different opportunities and all the different perspectives that you can get from nonfiction. I just enjoy all the different things I get to pick up from that, I guess. Anyway, so question number 7 is, what is a nonfiction book you read because of Booktube? So there are quite a few, and there are quite a few on my shelf that I bought because of Booktube that I haven't got to. But one of the ones, I mean, like I read, well, I guess you can't see it, I like read a couple of them. But anyway, the one that I'm going to say one of the ones I enjoyed the most was The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. Again, first, I don't think I was on Booktube more than a couple of weeks before somebody had mentioned this book, and I was like, oh, I need to read that. And so I read this, I think I read this for Nonfiction November last year, or the year before, I can't remember now. But I really enjoyed this, and I've read another, I think 2 books of her, at least one more book of Cy Montgomery since then. And I really enjoyed this. And I would never have picked this up if I had not seen it on Booktube. I think the same as I can say for H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. That again was another, I don't really normally pick up nature nonfiction. Like, that's not what I go looking for. Again, I'm much more into history and I pick those up. But I've really enjoyed some of the nature ones I picked up. Because right now I'm reading Eager by Ben Goldfarb. So it's about beavers. And it's just, I'm really enjoying nature ones every once in a while. And it was interesting to read Soul of an Octopus. And again, this is one of the ones that I definitely remember that I got because of Booktube. Because I never would have picked that one up. Number 8 is, what is the best nonfiction book you've read lately? So, like lately, as in last week, I really enjoyed Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Again, this is a creative book, A Creative Living Beyond the Fear. I really enjoyed her message in this, and it helped with my writing, as in to not be so stressed out about being perfect, and just have fun and just continue to write. And so to me, this was a big deal. So I really enjoyed this. I don't have a copy, but In Other Words by Jhumpa Lahiri, I read back in September, I think. And that was her story of learning the Italian language and moving her family there to immerse herself. And then she wrote a book all in Italian, and then you get the translation. So she didn't do her own translation back into English. So it was really an interesting thing. And I don't usually like essays so much, but this was still memoir enough that it was, even though it was broken up into parts, it was just a really great journey. And I really, really enjoyed that book. And that's one I got to find to purchase, because I really want to read that again. It was just, it was a fantastic book on that. So yeah, well, yeah, I do read a lot of books on writing as well. Let's see here. Number 9, what are some of your nonfiction reading goals? Again, my goal is to increase my percentage of how much nonfiction to fiction I am reading and read off of my bookshelves. I have a horrible tendency to go to the library and pick up nonfiction and read those of books that I'm interested in, but not quite enough to buy. And I do read a lot of good stuff that way. It's just, I want to read more off my shelf. I need to do that more often. But really, as I said, I want to keep my percentage at least at 30% for the year of my reading is nonfiction. It would be great if I could edge it up to 35 to 40%, but I just don't know if I can do that. I just love fiction so much as well. It's just going to be a balance, and I definitely will never go 50-50. There's no way I'll make it to that point. But if I can get up to 35-40, that would be neat. So that would be, but I'm definitely going to be, like in the next year, I'm going to try to read off my bookshelf a little bit more, well, for all my reading goals. That's one of the goals I want to do. But I really want to read some of the nonfiction on my shelf, because I've collected some really cool biographies and some history stuff that I want to read. I just haven't got to it. And if my tripod moves, it's because Truman is right here and he's going to knock stuff over. Anyway, so sorry, number 10. What's your advice for incorporating more nonfiction into your reading diet? I think just, as I said, I would just say just adding stuff to your, like if you do TBRs, make sure you add at least one title or maybe 2 and just say, I'm going to read one of these, whatever one, whatever sparks your interest. Or, as I said, like do what I do way too often is I stroll through the nonfiction, the new releases in the library and just pick something out for that month. I just think if you think about it and you just go, okay, I have all these fiction books I want to read, but just kind of insert one, something nonfiction, something different, something it'll feel different, it'll read differently, it'll be like you'll learn something maybe, you know. It's just I just would say just insert a little bit. Okay. I've talked a lot. Anyway, so bonus, give some recommendations of non-fiction booktube channels that you love. I mean, again, there's so many that have a good portion of it. Of course, Olive at a Book Olive, Heidi at My Reading Life, Doris at Aldi Books, Amy Gets Lit. There's, well, Steve Donahue, of course. I get so many recommendations from him, I can't even tell you. Shannon Riddler has a lot of different nonfiction on her channel as well. And there's just so many. Like, as I said, they all have like little parts to it. And there's so many more that I can't think of. But those are all the ones that I watch the most that have a lot of nonfiction that I pick up a lot of recommendations from. So anyway, so that's the tag. And yes, I went a little long, but that's okay. We're done. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying Nonfiction November. I hope everybody is picking up some really good stuff. And if I'm not going to tag anybody in this because a lot of people have done this already, but if you read nonfiction on your channel, do this tag and let me know you've done it. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.